All right. In a world where there's sexual pervasion, in the world where sex is everywhere, in a world where immorality seems to be the new standard, it's almost easy for anyone, especially for the believer, to fall into the trap that sex was designed by the world, when as a matter of fact and as a matter of principle, all things were created by God. And it's on that note that I want to welcome you to another edition of Word Bank Kingdom Conversations, where we've been delving and going deeper and digging deep into the subject of sex. And we're talking about sex live and direct. I want to say welcome. I trust that your week has been going well. Yes, I want to welcome you again. I am Kayode Sonny, and last week we had Miss Jennifer Akikusote, a coach who did an extensive work on that. And this week for today is going to be another explosive time. And if you would like to follow up on all the conversations so far, you can check our YouTube channel, Facebook, check us across board on social media, and you'll see all that has been discussed. And I'm so sure that God will do something great today. And today is no exception, as I have my guest seated beautifully right beside me today in person of Mrs. Temiloluwa Moronkeji.
Thank you very much.
Good evening.
Good evening.
How was your day?
Oh, very fine. Thank you.
It's good to have you. And just to get to know Mrs. Moronkeji more, Temiloluwa, as she's called, is a social worker who is passionate about family therapy. She holds a master's in social work and attributes her success in it to a Bachelor of Arts degree in Communication and Language Arts from the University of Ibadan. She is currently on her PhD research in social work. She's a leading relationship coach and sex educator. You can see why we brought her. And sex educator driven by a passion for helping people build healthy relationships and thriving marriages. With over a decade of experience, she is a certified practitioner with a wealth of knowledge and practical insight into the complex dynamics of relationships. She is a certified professional relationship coach with the Chartered Institute of Corporate Mentoring and Coaching Nigeria, associate practitioner of the Family System Engineering at the Institute of Family Engineering and Development, brainchild of Tammy's Love Clinic, a successful relationship coaching initiative, highly sought after sex educator and coach. Temiloluwa is also the chairman of the board of trustees of the BOMB Foundation, a non-profit organization that provides support and resources for women's empowerment. The foundation hosts weekly training sessions on diverse topics such as relationships, family dynamics, and more. Temiloluwa's commitment to serving others extends beyond her work as a relationship coach. She is also the director of Its Heritage Home, operated by Abundance Ministries, a non-profit organization that provides resources for vulnerable children, teenagers, and widows. This work is close to her heart, and she's willing to go above and beyond to make a difference in the lives of those she serves. Temiloluwa is passionate about making a difference in the lives of others, and her dedication to helping people find happiness and fulfillment in their relationship is evident in everything she does. With a wealth of knowledge and expertise, she is committed to making a positive impact on the world, one relationship at a time. What a profile. What a profile. And I think that the first time I encountered you talk was at a relationship program held at the Grace Point. I've forgotten the year, and I think it should be 2019 now.
Wow.
And one of the things that you said that was profound for me was when you were highlighting the issue of how young people deal with urges, and how as a male you have to find a solution for yourself. As a female, find what works for you. And one that I got was that most of the time when you have these urges, when you this so-called conji, thing called conji, it mostly comes at the time when you are at a restful place. So sometimes all you need to do is just get up, exercise, do something to fill your body. And you can see that has not left me ever since.
Yeah.
And it's so great to have you join in.
Thank you very much. It's such a delight to be here.
Yes. So sex, whether in church or outside. But when we look at the conversation about sex, we realize that it's something that is sort of forbidden in the confines of the church. Maybe due to the fact that there may be something that will make it extreme or not so less.
Yeah.
But of course, everyone knows, and we all know that sex is a big conversation. As a matter of fact, there was a news yesterday. The House of Reps asked the Nigerian Communications Commission to stop pornographic sites in Nigeria.
Yes, I saw it.
And you can see that, and that's to show that sex is such a big deal, and the conversation must be on, especially for young people.
Yeah.
And when I think about sex, I look at it from the young to the sort of middle-aged, and even to the older people that are married. It cuts across everyone. But I want us to start from the young people, for example.
Okay.
What should young people know about sex?
Wow. Everything. By young people, can I have an age range that you have in mind?
Okay, young people, age 1 to 18.
Okay. I'm glad you said it 1 to 18, because that was why I said let me have the age range you have in mind, so that I would know if I'm quickly shifting it to the age range where it should be. Yes, children should learn about sex and maybe sexuality. Maybe not sex per se, you understand, but sexuality in its entirety, as early as they can talk, they can recognize their they can communicate. Let me just put it that way, because communication is not only verbal. They might not be able to express some things verbally, but non-verbal cues, there are ways where children communicate. As a mother or father, once you're having conversation with your child, you're connecting with your child as early as 6-8 months, when they can recognize things, your eyes, your nose, you understand. Did somebody hurt you? Are you understand? Let them know things like, don't let if someone touch you here, let me know. Just start the conversation about being comfortable, being able to talk to your children about their body parts, calling each body part the name given, and not a nickname. I think that's where it would start from, because that's where that cultural identity of segregating some body parts or idolizing some body parts starts from, or making some body parts sacred. You understand? So when you let them know that body parts are body parts, and then you can call them by name, then no child will be afraid or ashamed to say somebody touched me here. The way we have normal conversation about until so held my hand, your child should be able to communicate clearly that somebody touched me here, my penis, my vagina, my vulva. You understand? But when your child even know what to call those things, I think there was a child in nursery school that comes home to tell the mom, my auntie ate my cookie. My auntie ate my cookie. Ooh. And so because she takes cookie to school, she was really like, she will had more cookies for her child, that at least when the auntie hits what she would eat, part of it, my child will have more. But she had forgotten that she also calls up a vagina cookie also. Hey. So what the auntie has been doing is, sexually harassing the child, sexually molesting rather the child. And so this eating of cookie is not the regular biscuits or,
my goodness.
So it's really, you should teach your child age appropriate child education. And I'm sure that we all have access to the internet now. You can go to sites where educational sites and just Google age appropriate sex education. There are people online that basically that's what they teach. Information is out there. What we need to do is just seek the right place, and then you can have a guide. There are people that have written books on age appropriate conversation with your child about their sexuality. So at each stage there will be something you'll be able to tell a child. So yes, I would agree with you. From age 1 they should recognize their body parts. By the time they are getting to preteens, it should never be the school that will first introduce your child to sex and their body and puberty, and have that adolescent talk with them, their body changing, going through puberty. Every parent should have that conversation before. You should beat the school to it, because it depends on the curriculum. You are leaving it to the curriculum, to the teacher that is taking it. You don't even know who the teacher is, because no matter how good the curriculum is, the teacher will interpret this curriculum, and so it's whatever they say. And most times the teacher might even be very conversative, or to the other side, very extreme, or you get. But as a parent, you'll be able to moderate and then teach your child the way he should go. That's very important.
But then beating the school,
because there's a way. That's just it. And sorry, I don't want to lose this line of thought. Guess what happens in school? When that conversation comes up, each child they have the orientation and where they're coming from. They won't discuss with the teacher. The teacher will ask any questions, no question. After that period, they will now gather and then talk about this. And each child will now say, you don't know that this site, this is things that happen. Things my children we've had conversation about. That, mommy, is it true that? Where did you hear that from? Well, after class. And then somebody said that. The person heard it. So it's either you teach your children or the internet will.
So one thing I also learned from what you said now is also creating that enabling environment for certain conversations to thrive. Because I'm thinking about your children now. It's because they are free to you now to be able to express and talk about what happened in school. Because I also feel that that's something. I'm not a parent, by the way, but at least but one thing that we've come to understand sometimes, at least with people that I grew up with, was that conversation, that enabling environment for conversations to thrive. Is it okay to wear, as a lady, is it okay to wear trousers, and all of that? But let's now take it higher now, from above, for Christian young people. And the reason why I'm asking this question is because there's also information out there. I recall that there was a book someone recommended to me. I won't say the title now. It's a book especially for women, actually. The person was trying to say that if you read this book, you can also understand, the woman anatomy better and build something around that. And one thing that caught my attention from that book was in terms of sexuality, someone exploring their body. Person was specific about exploring, young girls exploring, and I want to expand this beyond girls now. Young people exploring their body at a young age. Exploring their body at a young age. So
the book is saying it's normal.
Yes.
It's very healthy. That's the word. It's very healthy for young people to explore
their body sexually. So how do we reconcile that with godly standards?
All right.
And especially for young people in the church.
That would take us back to train your child the way it should go. The first place of training should be in the home. But when even the person that wants to train or teach does not even know. You can't pour from an empty cup. So that's one paravalent issue, because it depends on what you know. That's what you'll be able to teach. So to balance it, I would first of all admonish everyone to be very determined that this conversation about sex is not going to be a taboo. It's not going to be awkward anymore, because I know it's already awkward. So what can we do about it to normalize it? The way we talk about finance, the way we talk about nutrition at home, can we just normalize this thing? Because it's part of us. And there is nothing that's stopping us from talking about it. And then, like I said, there are too many information out there. I am working on a paper, the role of religious, comprehensive sex education in marital stability. As in, I just want to compare, is there a difference when there is a comprehensive sex education taught in the religious way? Of course, I'm going to zero in to the Christian, to the church biblical, religious, biblical comprehensive sex education. So what we will do is, what you just described is just a regular, or let me just say, the comprehensive sex education of the curriculum of a sexologist or a doctor or a psychologist or whoever the author of our book is. So what we will now do is instill biblical principle into it. The way as a Christian doctor, you will approach the issue of healing. You understand? A truth is different from the truth. Something might be true, but might not be the truth.
Something might be true, but not the truth.
But not be the truth. The truth is based on the word of God. So what you will do is, what is the about sex? And then you incorporate anything that is self-gratification, self-exploration, self is rooted in flesh. And that is against it's what do we call it? Fruit of the flesh. Works of the flesh rather.
Yeah.
And what we should go after is the fruit of the spirit. So you just need to balance it and let your child know that all things are permissive, but not all things are beneficiary. That's just it. Everybody might be doing it. That does not make it right. Because if we are talking about exploration now, there is a place for it. Because I teach body mapping, but you are not ready for body mapping until you're ready for marriage. That's just it. Because you need to understand where you receive pleasure to be able to receive pleasure, and then the other your spouse needs to understand where you receive pleasure to be able to give you pleasure. But it's not something, there is a time for it. That's just it. Because when you there is a scripture in Songs of Solomon about when you are waking love before it's
do
time.
not awaken love before it's time.
That's just it. So you dare not explore before it's time, because that would lead you to a road that would open another door, and when you go further down that hallway, it leads to most likely destruction.
And I'd like you to speak to that too. So you said there's a time for it.
Yes.
But then there's something inside my body that is always hot every time.
Yeah, there is always something inside our body.
So how do we understanding that there is a time for all of this, but then every now and then there's this issue. There's this thing. My body I wake up as a man, my body just feels peace. I wake up as a woman, my body just feels peace.
All right, let's start from what your body feeling is very normal, and your body should. As a mother, I would be worried if my child has never had an erection. When before it was time, I was telling him already, a day will come. A day will come. Do not be afraid. This should happen to you. If it does not happen, I should be concerned. My daughter, you should menstruate, because that means this, explaining everything. And so when that time comes, then that conversation about, okay, there's something called wet dreams. Have you been told? We've discussed
I was about to
it.
get there.
Yes. Now, what we now fail to do is that wet dreams should be once in a while thing. It's not something that now occurs every time.
Okay.
By the time you have a client, when I have a client or I'm talking to younger people and they are having recurrence or it's becoming a serious issue, then I want to think about it. The gateways.
Okay.
What have you been watching? What have you been listening to? What have you been who are you talking to? Because see, it's just like hunger pangs. We feel hungry. Have you ever been very hungry and you are in the market or at the eatery and you don't have money? But because you are hungry, why don't you just go and steal that bread and eat it? Or carry somebody else's food, or do something. But how do we control that urge? Because women is no good. And hardly would you see, well, maybe the case of Yahoo now, that we have mothers, association of Yahoo mothers, that are celebrating it and they are encouraging their children. But you can see that is like madness. But hardly would anybody encourage or celebrate stealing unless it is packaged and termed another thing. The same thing is happening now. But unfortunately, everybody is now beginning to normalize that. It's like you talk about the urges like it's something you have absolute no control over. That is the narrative we should change. And that's the narrative we should enforce.
You can control the urges.
Yes.
And you know, and this is true because about a few years back also, this was something someone told me, that especially when you've in so-called, they call it tasted it, that there's something that happens that it just feels like you can't control your body again. It's like you can't control that urge again. But let me talk to wet dreams, because I was going to go there too, that some people have associated wet dreams with demonic attacks. What is the real story?
The real story, the real story is biology. That's just it. When you've not had dreams when you are eating.
Okay.
When you think about it, most times when you eat in your dreams, is it that most times, not every time. There are always exceptions, but most times it's because you go to bed hungry. That's just it. When you feed your mind is like a photograph. It would play back some of these things to you. So that's what happens with most of all these people. It's mostly psychological. That's just it. When you dig deep and you ask questions, you see that most of these young people, or whoever that it is, have watched, they sneak all these pornographic materials to school, they watch soft porn and all these things, and then they've heard a whole lot of things. So while asleep, their mind plays back most of those things. They have a dream, and ensuring that they put a gate on the doors of their heart.
Now let's accelerate this conversation. It's still a young woman in their 30s, 31, 32, no marriage yet.
Young adults.
Young adults. So the age keeps increasing. 31, 32, no marriage yet. And then the instruction is to hold your body, hold yourself. Especially, according to what I heard, I'm not sure if it's true, that especially for the woman now, that when you've moved past 30, there's a way your urges begin to spiral out of control. That's what I heard. I'm speaking for the man and the woman now. It's time for marriage, but somehow it's not forthcoming, because of course that's some sort of expectation that when you reach a certain age you should marry, so that at least you can finally do what you need to do sexually. But then marriage is not forthcoming, and here we have these relationships here and there. How are we to manage ourselves in those circumstances? I know you spoke to the fact that we have the control, but then in this circumstance now, how are we to reconcile that reality?
Okay, the reality is that, see, there's a lot of things you're reconciling. Your whole life, you need to reconcile it, and then be very, very deliberate about each aspect of your life. The way you reconcile your finances, you reconcile your health. Because, see, this world system would dictate a whole lot of things to you. The way they will tell you your biological clock is ticking. And then they will pressure you into, you should have children, even if you're not married. So it's like you have to constantly put a guard on your heart. Now, I tell people, prayer is not the remedy for urges. Though. You can 10 hours speaking in tongues, and then you still end up having sex when you don't want to. The only remedy is flee. That's the only thing that would work. And so fleeing may not be physical flight. You understand? All you need to understand is know your body, understand your triggers, and ensure that you have good social support. And then you'd, when I say social support, all round, you'd you have accountability partners or coaches or mentors that you can talk to when you're being tempted. You have friends that you have the same values. You get, and people you listen to, like, you can't stand for something because it's either you do culture or you do the kingdom. I've realized you can't really be in between. But we want to really be in between because we don't want to just be tag labeled. Nobody wants to say I'm for purity. You get, on World Purity Day, we looked so much like a minority.
Hey.
Like I'm really on Instagram. I searched.
Wow.
I did a search. I'm the like two people. We're just two sex coach. Yes, there are some other people that celebrated World Purity Day, but I'm talking about sex coaches that we deal with sex. We are only two.
Wow.
That celebrated World Purity Day.
Wow.
That's just it. It's like a taboo, and that's why we are having the issue. Because we just don't think it is normal. We've made the abnormal the normal, and then the normal thing. So you feel something is wrong with you if you don't have sex. So the question is whether you are 100 or 90. Is it by age?
Okay.
Is it by age? Who does not get hungry? But we still fast. That's just it. So know your triggers and ensure that you don't do things that would trigger your sexual urge. Marriage is not the cure for congee.
Marriage is not the cure for congee.
It is not. Why do
Really?
people go do adultery? If marriage is the cure for congee, why are married people having going through sexual issues? You get. So it is mindset. It is our mind that we will renew and understand.
We'll renew
that,
our minds.
Exactly.
I like that. Renewing our mind.
Your mind, and if you are having issues, if you have a headache, go to the doctor. If the headache is persistent, okay, if you're having a headache, take Paradol. You understand? And they will always say, if the symptoms persist after 3
See a
days,
doctor.
consult your doctor. So if your symptom is persisting, maybe you should see a therapist. It could just be something that is triggering something. You just need help. And that's why I'm saying that there are some things that it shouldn't be a thing of a shame. Seek help if it's persisting. That's just it. Because even as a married person, this urge, insatiable urge, is something we should look into. You get, so that we can get, okay, we'll have a conversation, have a diagnosis, and then we'll be able to say this and this and this. Because I can't just, generalize. Because people are different. Some people, is because of the things they see every day. That's just, they live with people that are married and they see them, exhibit love and when, and before you know it, you are just there alone and thinking about it, and then you get it. It could be as simple as you are watching things that are too erotic and it's not helping you. You get. So it's just that. Let's start it from the mindset that, okay, you are having urges, you should be, but should you pay attention to the urge or make it a god? It is what you feed that will develop. Are you feeding your urge? That should be the question. But not having urges in here is normal now. That's just it. You feel sleepy. You get.
You feel hungry.
You feel hungry.
You feel thirsty.
But this certain urge that you are having is not time for it. There is a limit put to it. Or there is a wall built around it. It is biblically you should be doing this when you are married and married alone.
Just before my next question, you said something about purity, and I'd like you to talk to young people right now, especially for teenagers going into real adulthood who may feel that they are left out among their peers because now they are among other people. Especially when, for example, I feel that the reality is different from secondary school to university, 100 level. You meet children from different places and then begin to hear stories, and somehow it feels like you are left out. I've been there before in my own lifetime, life, where it felt like, okay, is it really bad that I've chosen to stay pure? Right. So I'd like to encourage that young person right now.
All right. So I would say to you, you are the unique one. You are the leader of your pack. And you should be the one telling them they are missing. That's just it. Because go and check for everyone that is standing for purity, for everyone that have decided that, okay, this is exactly what I will do. They are the ones that they will come crying to when they have heartaches, when the issues that follow a certain lifestyle starts. Because the truth is that I personally believe that God is not wicked. He's not trying to frustrate you and then make you burn and burn and burn and burn sexually and then leave you. He's not one wicked God like that. He actually placed sex in the confines of marriage to protect us, especially our soul, our feelings, our emotions, and then protect us in future when we marry. One of the paravalent issues with married people is comparison.
Ah.
Yeah, the experience before and then after.
Ah.
That has always been things people don't talk about. You get it? There are so many. I talk to sexually active people. You think they don't have problems because they come and tell you that they lie. That's just it. So a whole lot of things you're being saved from. That is it. Sex comes with responsibility.
Yeah.
Do you know how they rejoice when they see their period?
Hey.
So let's just talk about this thing. Let's normalize it. That's just it. Okay, let's compare and contrast. What exactly am I missing? Tell me. Okay, that experience after like an orgasm, describe it. Can you hold on to it forever? See, it's when they share their own narrative, I'm sharing my own narrative with you. That see, you will experience it. How old are you now? 30. You will get married. And then this is something that you enjoy for. The time you're missing out can be compared to the lifetime enjoyment that is. It will surely come. It can tarry. But that thing that it's so beautiful when you wait for it, because it is all encompassing. And you won't have to worry and bother, because you know that you're ready, you're mature, emotionally, physically, and then it's not stolen water. You get, you're not doing it and you're guilty and you're feeling depressed and then you're not even ashamed. And you can talk about it so it's all encompassing. Your self-esteem, your self-worth is there. The fact that you don't have the baggage, that you are carrying an unnecessary one, emotional baggage, because these things comes with. So let's say there is just one thing, enjoyment, that ecstasy. It's just like drug. That's just the people that are addicts or what are they called? The dealers. They will convince you now. Do dealers smoke?
True.
Really? Have you ever seen a dealer taking their own product? They don't. But they can tell you that, this new one, the ecstasy. But that is an experience that you can't hold on to. It's just that the Bible calls it a temporal thing. So it's because we've been given unto reprobate mind. And so that is why we have to change the narrative. You are not missing anything.
Awesome.
You are not missing anything.
Awesome. And so I want to go to the extreme now.
All right.
The extreme in terms of the over spirituality of sex. Such that even young people who want to get married think it is weird to even to talk about it, to address it, and they are stuck. And then they are stuck, and this is based on information that we have, that we've heard, stories we've heard, right? They are stuck on, okay, so what do we do now? Who are we to talk to? Should we go and talk to pastor? Should we go and talk to daddy? So, right? So for the over spirituality of sex, especially for young people trying to get married, and I like to ask it in this way: that how can young Christians, prepare themselves for healthy intimacy in marriage?
This is one that, if there is a curse that I live for, this is it. Because how can you, let me give you a scenario, true life story. So I was called that there's this lady and the husband. They've been married for 2 years, and they are having issues with having children. I was like, that person said, don't worry, you are not a gynecologist, but this one concerns you. Okay, so during prepping, I realized that in 2 years that they've been married, they've not been intimate because they don't even know what to do.
Wow.
And so they've been praying about it and praying about it. Sincerely, you think this is like really, they are both educated. As then I told them that, okay, please, where did you get married? They said, who is your pastor? Did you do counseling? I called the pastor and I said, sir, please tell me exactly what's the offense. As in, I could not wrap my head around it. Okay, so what happened in premarital counseling exactly? And so, they talked, they said, yeah, we had sex counseling. What did they tell you? Do not defraud each other.
Aw.
You know, so sincerely, that's the extreme, and the extreme is really, really extreme. Where women don't even know where, or have never, you know, checked even if they have a clitoris, as simple as that. Where a man getting married does not even know what a clitoris is, has never heard of it, and then you're getting married to someone that has never been sexually, both of you're sexually inexperienced, and nobody is coaching you to say, okay, this is this and this and this and this and this. Because you know what happens, most people eventually, after keeping, you know, abstaining, and then it's either you have one partner that is abstaining and the other one that have experienced it before, or both partners that are, you know, that really have no sexual experience, and then they go into marriage without any form of education, and they are clueless, and their wedding night was so horrible. It was so horrible that it was traumatic. And then they have their narrative that sex is overrated. So it's always that is where we have put it, to a place of where people are ashamed, are traumatized, because nobody has coached them. It's as simple as inculcate sex education or sex coaching into premarital counseling classes
churches,
at all levels, including registry. Sincerely, these are some of the reasons me I'm pursuing my PhD, so that we can push these things and talk about. Nobody who is talking about this social problem as if it's not a social problem. A lot of things people are not, they don't even know who to turn to. And then educating, you know how we are now empowering people financially in churches. That is how we should inculcate biblical teachings into sex education and do a comprehensive one. When people don't know what to do, just teach them. Get people I'm sure social workers, psychologists, sexologists, doctors should be. Do a certification course. What do they call these people in church? People in charge of married folks, family life departments in churches should do trainings. The way children church teachers go for training. Why should you be a marriage counselor and you not be able to teach comprehensive sex education? You don't have extreme. As a pastor, you should have knowledge all around, at least a bit of knowledge. And if you don't, put people in charge. I personally did counsel people that are qualified, that are causing, you know, and in a way, the silence collects, and then you are saying you have a problem.
I was about to get to
Somebody will shame you that out of all the problems in this whole world, you are not sexually satisfied, is your own problem. Even your fellow women will shame you. That's just the truth. Attention to in the kingdom, because they really matter. And these are the devil is the god of this world. And if we are not careful, he's already, you know, taking this sexual issue and whipped the family against marriage. That's why we have so many marital issues. It seems that you see this narrative of no man can be faithful. Like sex has become the god. Like sex has the absolute over you, like this. In fact, you know, statistically, it's really sad, but by the grace of God, because let statistics be lied and God be with you. Get married. Yeah. Because the people that are not having sex are the married ones. And the people that are having sex. So are we not paying attention and then looking at it that this is a stronghold? And thoughts that is exalting itself above the knowledge of God. These are the things we should fight.
And if I was to add to that also, I think we also have to come to a place where we have Christians who are going into this field to get a good understanding.
Yes.
Because we can also have people pervert the teachings also, because
That's just it.
we can't really determine who is who again.
Yes, you see, I tell people, I am an average person that calls themselves a sexologist. What they want to do is sell you something that will make you sweetener, or something that will make somebody padlock you. So, oh my goodness.
And as the saying goes these days, they'll tell you sex sells.
Exactly. Or one bead that will make you irresistible. I don't talk about those things.
So which is to show us that the world is giving us options.
Exactly.
It's giving us options.
Exactly.
So we have to come, just like you said, we have to come with our own narrative. Now, while the world has its own narrative, this sexology selling of beads, selling of this, so we have to come with our own narrative to say that there's a godly principle to doing that. And you spoke about culture of silence. That culture of silence, that a man is there, is not enjoying the sexual the sexual health in the marriage is dilapidated, but no one can talk.
Sick professionals. That's just the sick professionals, because if you have an ailment, I can't have a toothache and then go to who now? Go to my carpenter to drill nail and hammer, because you've seen dentists to use something like a nail and hammer, and then you feel like, okay, if I go to the carpenter, they will do the same thing. Go to the appropriate places, get information, people that can help you, that deal with sex related issues, sex coaches, sex counselors, some psychologists, clinical psychologists, and even when you go to hospitals, they will direct you to the right places. And yes, and that's why I am advocating that when Christian counselors, they should imbibe or get certification in sex education, so that they would exactly have an understanding on how to, not just general knowledge, because there are some people that it's embedded into therapy. They would need therapeutic
solutions.
Solutions to it.
Still on this concept, and I want to make it as practical as possible. We've heard stories where it's inside the marriage that the woman, for example, will discover that this man cannot have an erection.
Okay.
They finally get into the marriage because, of course, they've been told to sustain, abstain, whatever thing they need to do just to keep themselves before marriage. But
this is a very good one.
But then there are discoveries in the marriage. All of a sudden, the woman realizes that this man can't even have an erection. All of a sudden, this man realizes that this woman doesn't even have a womb. And these are things that was not discussed before marriage.
Okay. So the question is, why were they not discussed? Okay, so what did they do during courtship? And it's always funny. Now, people that are sexually active, they come for marriage counseling. And because if you remove premarital sex counseling as a standalone, because I have a course, a counseling session that is premarital sex counseling, and then you have a marriage counseling. I bet you I hardly get clients that would pick that option only. So of course it's already embedded into the counseling. Now, a typical young couple about to get married that are already sexually active before each other and then during, because I tell them this is not about judging you, so that I will know exactly what exactly the curriculum we are following and everything. And then they are actively having sex, but they don't talk about sex.
They are actively
having sex, but they don't discuss it.
Wow.
So I would say sex is something you talk about. Normalize the narrative. So I start asking them, okay, so have you talked about your expectations? People get married without sexual expectations, and yes, they've been having sex. And then, have you talked about your fantasies? As in, what's your wildest fantasy? Is there something that, because this heart and this mind, when you're about to say no gene.
Yes.
Like, people have a whole lot of things going on right in their inside, and then when they get married, they just feel that that is the time to unleash without discussing it at all. Okay, there's this session that I was asking them, okay, so what have you talked about? Have you talked about? Then I started listing it one by one, things that, and then I got to, this, oh no, we've not talked about it. The one I remember very well now. Okay, yes, I talked about, so any one of you with fetish tendencies. And the guy said, yes, I think some things I wouldn't mind trying handcuffs. And the guy said, who? What's that? Like, these are things they've never discussed. I said, oh, okay. How about choking? And the guy said, yes, I've heard a lot about it. It's something I really want to try. And then guys said, God forbid, rap, I said, what's, calm down. What's that? That really is not as bad as it sounds.
Whoa.
Wait, so he started from, it's something I would like to try. Then he went to, because I caught that. Oh, it's not as bad as it sounds. That means it's something that's been practiced, but it's not. So you are expecting to choke one of these days. Try choking on your wife, but you've never discussed it with this person to know if she wants to be choked. You get it? Something as simple as how many children do we want to have? People don't talk about it. Okay, so when are we ready to start having children? What birth control are we going to explore? They don't talk about it. Something as simple as, okay, what's your view about anal sex? People don't talk about it. What's your view about porn? Watching porn in marriage. People don't talk about it, and yet they have sex. Okay, so the question I would ask this young couple that are just discovering during after marriage that he cannot have an erection is, why have you not asked that, uncle, are you complete? That's just it. Then why have you not noticed that he has never behaved uncomely? Because the Bible recognized that instead of burning, get married. So it's not like we are silent. It's not like God does not know that this desire is there. So you've never gone to visit him and you catch him looking at you in a certain manner or breathing heavily, or his hand has never strayed. Oh, am I saying that you will not have the tendency to stray? You will get hungry. What I am saying is that when the hunger pangs come, you will flee. See, a healthy relationship is the one that the guy would say, Yawa Malole, come and be going home. I feel like grabbing you. That even our Heavenly Father will not be able to rescue me from my hand by the time I pounce
That
on
understanding of boundaries.
Exactly. You know the boundaries, you draw it. When you are moving across the boundaries, you talk. Because communication is very important. That is what we call intellectual intimacy. Because you must have intimacy in every area. Intellectual intimacy is there, spiritual intimacy is there. You must have emotional intimacy. But why do you think all it's there about intimacy is sex, is sexual intimacy? When you talk and have healthy conversation, that come and be going. I want to grab your breast.
Interesting. These are critical times, I must say.
Exactly.
Just the last one now. We now live in a world of sexual choice. Identify as this. Identify as this. And then it's right here also in our churches also that we have young people who seem lost in their sexual identity, but then it's a church setting. You can't just say, I feel like this. Sometimes I feel like this. How do we approach this? How do we reconcile this?
Feeling is the voice of the flesh.
Feeling is the voice of the flesh.
It's the voice of the flesh. And it's time that we started teaching this thing. It's high time we started teaching it. That because you feel something does not mean you act according to your feelings. I tell my children, simple illustration is as easy as this. And when I say my children, not only biological children, these young people I mentor, I ask them, be truthful. Let God be true. And all men be like, have you ever not felt like slapping me before? They all say yes. Why did you not do it? So it's as simple as that. You don't have to yield to your feelings. That's just, have you ever not felt like, going on social media and lambasting the government or doing so what? Because that's just it. We need to understand that we have control. And guess what? You cannot start the control when it's too late. It is something that you master. You gain mastery of it. So the earlier the better. Normalize saying no to your children. When you're a teenager, you get it that you can restrain yourself. That's just it. Diversionary tactics. You understand? When you're feeling something, get up, just like you said, get up, do something about it. And this silence culture, it would help. When you can talk to help me. I remember a pastor that got to church. I'm not joking. This happened real life. Got to church and say, help me, church, pray for me, help me, call me. I'm having funny in my head. I'm lusting after women, naked women. I want to watch porn. I feel like it. Everybody started checking on pastor because pastor's wife was not around at that time, I think.
Okay.
And so these are the things we should not be ashamed of. Because Jesus knows that we are human. He understands our frailty. And we should never shame each other or pull each other down because we feel. Because when we have that safe zone and safe place, then we'll all be safe and saved.
You know, one of the major highlights for me tonight is the community aspect.
Yes.
Community,
Yes.
where everyone, young and old, can come together and say there's a problem, and no one we listen, we don't judge.
Exactly.
It will be based.
We listen and offer help and comfort.
We listen
because
and
please,
offer
that
help.
we don't judge is we judge this world system. You
Yes.
get what we judge is not the person. But the attitude that no, this will not thrive in our midst, and get
By the word
whatever
of God
necessary
too.
help that is available. And sometimes that work is not faith, is work. Is work embedded in faith.
Work
Some
embedded in
people
faith.
you need to go and trash all their magazine rack. There is a brother, a couple that I had to introduce an app to them that helps them with pornography. Everything he watches, it comes to my own. I get notification.
Oh.
Yes, that organization blocks porn sites, anything illicit. In fact, anybody that is wearing sleeveless clothes and he watches it, they will alert me and show me the image that is going on his computer. His system is, so that is beyond praying. It's about, guarding and holding your hands to go through this.
We listen, we offer help, and we judge what the systems of this world.
Exactly, and not judge the person.
For me, I just find this, and I saw the passion with which you have come on, and it's so amazing for me. So for me, number one thing for me from this session is community. As a church, the church system needs to help everyone find their place, support them. That support system, we have special units dedicated to family life, where we have professionals who understand biblical principles, who understand the word of God, who are born again, talking Christians, and who understand their word.
Training.
Yes, and they can offer help in these times, both for the young and for the old, and everyone together. And also the fact that you spoke about the fact that you can control it. When it's a matter of understand that it's the flesh.
If you say you can't, you're right.
Yes.
If you say you can, you're right. If you say you can't, you're right.
Because sometimes this feeling, this sexual desires, sometimes it feels like they are the ones controlling us.
Because we've heard this over and over and over and over and over and over again.
As a matter of fact, I was in a gathering. Not a gathering. I was just listening with some friends, and one of them said that your manhood controls has a mind of its own. That's what he said. And I was like,
he has no conscience.
that your manhood has a mind of its own, that you can't really control it.
Opened the doorway to it. The gateways are open.
We can just go on and on, honestly.
Yeah.
But we have to call it a day here. And I want to say special thanks.
You're welcome.
Special thanks. And I'm hoping that whoever's listened to this, young and old, I'm praying that all of this will mix with faith in your heart. Amen. And it will work around for good. If you need help, please talk to a professional. She's a professional. Talk to her. I'm sure we can. Maybe one of these days we can share, if you like, to share your professional contact. Please go seek for help. And for our church, for churches out there, our pastors, let's begin to have these conversations. Let's begin to have units dedicated to addressing these issues, where we can listen and offer professional profound help to people that need it. And once again, it's my hope and prayer that all of this that we have heard will reach you, and it will really hit a core in you. See, even if you've tried it before and you have seen the light and you're trying to get back up, we are with you in faith, we are with you in prayers. We are praying that God will himself by his Holy Spirit uphold you, and also find that community, especially if you are coming into the light. You suddenly realize that you can't be the way you are anymore and you want to step into the new light. Please find a community that helps you to live right according to the word of God. And I want to say thank you again to you,
welcome.
Mrs. Timololua. And it's a wrap. Don't forget that just before we wrap up, this Saturday we have our leaders meeting by 7 a.m. Sunday we resume our Sunday service, Real Success Seminar by 8 a.m. and the network service by 9:45 a.m. And you can also follow us across platforms: Facebook, X, Instagram, TikTok. We are everywhere, YouTube. And of course, if you want to listen to this again, you can go check YouTube, check our social media handles to see everything that was said tonight. And I believe that God will help you. And my name is Kai Desoni, and we'll see you again next week. Bye.